A very warm welcome to the Smart News Hour. My name is Yvonne and we thank you for watching S24TV. Now, the conception of sugarcane growing in Busoga sub-region to mitigate the challenges of poverty among the people has again turned into workers, as most of the families that transited to sugarcane agriculture are left landless at the expense of few beneficiaries. One of our reporters visited Busoga sub-region and we have a detailed story.
This was what dominated the land in Busoga sub-region, maize growth a few years ago. A few kilometers into the district of Jinja, you can notice the new crop on the rise. Although contributing to household incomes, sugarcane growing does not necessarily increase food adequacy, where a few varieties of food crops are grown. Busoga has 6 factories to date, 2 of which are less than 4 years old. It is a new means through which money is exchanging hands, and sugarcane growing provides a new way of mitigating poverty. The fluctuating prices of the native maize has helped the euphoria of the fresh cash from the new sugar factories. The farmers are simply following money, the classic capitalistic tendency. Unfortunately, with such poor communities, nothing is done about the choice and no education has been provided. The farmers therefore are left to the dynamics of the free market. Despite the emerging cases of food insecurity in some parts of the sugarcane growing areas, those who are benefiting from the plantation of the crop have rubbished this, saying that poverty is a general issue because it stretches even in areas where sugarcane are not planted.
Those who are saying that sugarcane is a big problem in the Busoga sub-region, instead of giving us advice and even telling government to subsidize things like fertilizers so that people can apply. Because of overusing the land, it is becoming unproductive. So instead of people advising the sugarcane farmers, they are saying sugarcane is causing poverty, which is not true.
Speaking to SMART24 television, the chairman of the Outgrowers Association in Busoga sub-region, Issa Budugo, has commended government for allowing sugarcane to be grown in Busoga.
It is very true that sugarcane has an impact on the economy of this sub-region because the farmers are surviving. They are growing, the consumers are there to consume the sugar, they grow their sugar, the millers make sugar out of their sugarcane, and the consumers are there. So it has a good impact to the economy of this sub-region because people are surviving.
Budugo adds that sugarcane growing covers only 160 acres of land, which is about 6%, rubbishing allegations that sugarcane growing has caused poverty. About
8,000 square kilometers. And if you multiply by the number of acres, because 1 square kilometer is equal to 247 acres, it comes to around 2 million acres in the Busoga sub-region. But sugarcane only covers about 160 acres of land covered by sugarcane. So in terms of percentage, it is about 5% or 6%.
Budugo has expressed worries that their business might hit a deadlock because of the new disease that has attacked their plantation.
This disease, it is called aphid to those people in the agronomy department, because when I was told, I went direct to the sugarcane farmers and picked those leaves and took them to the agronomy. They told us it is an insect, and for the time being, we have been telling farmers to use the anti-killer.
Ebikado tubifuniye muku ayenga bwidi ntibuli gali kironji gabawo ki ekibi ayenga ebikado bidi tutola yoku mumbera eyokubanga tujja kuwaigulu okutola kwa kawuka kano ketuli kweralikirira akali kubitanga kali amolulimi olwabaigulu byayongera okufa oba twalowooza tuti n'obulezi buno bwe batuleetera.
Much as sugarcane plantations have been attacked by pests, this does not deter locals from giving in their land for sugarcane growing at a giveaway price of 400,000 to 500,000 per acre, which is then used to buy bodas and to marry young women. The districts feeling the impacts include Iganga, Luka, Mayuge, Jinja, Namtumba, Uyikwe, and Kamuli, whereas cases of food insecurity have started to emerge because farmers are hiring out their land for sugarcane growing at the expense of food production.
Nawangwe said the decision to suspend the staff was taken by the board after thorough investigations were conducted. We have a report. Which other story?
In December last year, Makerere University announced the suspension of 45 staffs, including lecturers and other staff, on grounds ranging from indiscipline, sexual assault, abscondment from duty, among other cases. Immediately after receiving the news, a selection of some staff was quick to petition to Parliament to investigate the suspension, saying it was taken with ill motives. Today, the Ivory Tower has broken the silence by coming clear on the decision taken by the board to suspend those found at fault. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, says the board took the decision after thorough investigations over a period of time and wide consultation.
So the majority of the cases, more than 60%, are cases of abscondment, and they are not recent cases. Some are very old cases. So the Appointments Board was clearing the backlog of these disciplinary cases. Those are the majority.
Nawangwe says many of these cases were reported in 2010, and since then, probes have been done before the Appointments Board took the decision. Among the cases included abscondment from duty, failure to complete studies, financial fraud, sexual assault, and acts prejudicial to the university image, negligence of duty, among others.
But of course, there are also other cases of other types of indiscipline. Okay, people who just refuse to carry out the duties for which they were employed. Okay, people who refuse, for example, to mark within the stipulated time, and they are begged by the heads, even the deans, the principal, for long times, and the students are suffering waiting for results. So there was that category of people who refused to carry out their duties, okay, within the stipulated time, or completely just neglected their duties. Then, of course, we have cases of assault and sexual harassment. And two of the cases were in that category. One involves a staff who assaulted a colleague in front of the class, okay, and that is completely unacceptable at a university.
In the petition to Parliament, Professor Nawangwe says the university would respond accordingly, although he was quick to question their move.
They must follow the law. They must follow the regulations. So I suspended those two people who wrote to me. One who, I don't know whether he still thinks he's the chairperson of MASA, but of course that was nullified. And the other one who thinks he's the Secretary General. And I must warn them to stop referring to themselves as such, because that was nullified.
In 2017, a research fellow at the university, Dr. Stella Nyenzi, stripped naked in protest against the decisions at the research department. She was since suspended from the institute.
Hundreds of girls from Kawempe and Machinde division in Kampala who turned up for the registration exercise of the presidential initiative dubbed Girls Killing were left stranded at Katanga playground after State House officials refused to register them. Now, we should remember that in 2017, the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni introduced this girl child skilling to skill girls with innovative and vocational skills in embroidery, baking, weaving, tailoring, and much more. We have details.
On receiving information that the registration exercise for the new intake was scheduled for today, hundreds of girls flocked to Katanga playground to be registered, only to be told that the exercise had ended. This did not go down well with the girls. Some of them, young mothers from Katanga, who accused the local council authorities of manipulating the process by ferrying in girls from other areas.
Abantu batekawo batuwe ebintu bye batukozeseza tuvude na tuyononya transport for kujja batuwe tetwagala mmere ya tatuwa ne transport n'ebyokola fe tetwagala atusomese byaffe betwagala ebyomuntu emmere ye transport we amuwa bakaba parliament abamwagala ennyo
okuva emakindye kansala hawa n'atuleeta wano baganyo tufaako twazenga tuzzokola ki okuyiga ebyomumutwe okitegeera ng'abawala lwaki tujja wano ne batuvuluga n'abo mu Katanga mwe tuzze baganyo bawandiika be bawandiika bava iri mukono
we basomesezaawo naye batusibya lunaku lulamba twavayo saa 9 neera nga tebatuwandiise wabula bawandiikanga abantu nga bava mukono bava Jinja ng'abantu ab'omuwandegeya tebalina kwe bawandiise.
Police were on standby to calm the tempers on the ground. Female youth from Makindye division, led by their female councillor Hawa Semuju, demanded that the girls from Hard Vision should also benefit from such programs.
Twafunye amasimu wagatugamba okuleeta abaana for girls killing. Nze ndiwe Makindye naye azipanawo mu Makindye tetulinayo center ya girls killing. Ne batugamba tuleete abaana okuwandiikira. Tutuuse wano mu Katanga okuwandiisa abaana batugamba nti registration is closed. Fine, registration is closed, naye twagala tumanye procedures eziteekeddwa. Bwe mutugamba nti abantu baleeteddwa from mukono bajje bawandiikibwa wano nga n'ab'omu Katanga bo bennyini bakyakomplaininga nti balekeddwa ebweru. Ensengo eno bwebanga program ya government tulina okugitwala nti eri serious. Buli muntu yenna twagala afunemu.
Hilary Emma Musoke, the private secretary to the president in charge of youth, acknowledged that they were overwhelmed with the large numbers of girls who turned up for the exercise. He said State House officials and local council authorities from the respective divisions will hold a meeting to harmonize their lists.
You are aware that our girls have just completed after 6 months of study in skills of tailoring, knitting, weaving, hairdressing, fashion and design, bakery and confectionery, and now they are going to graduate in January. So now we are trying to register a new intake for another 6 months that will undergo training. But as you are aware, we have been directed by the State House Controller to come and register from ground within the areas in the zone with the LOCs, and we've been overwhelmed with the numbers. We expected less people, but there are so many people, and the fact that we found out that people are coming from Makindye, from Nakawa, from Kawempe, from Rubaga to come and register in the Wandegeya Center. Being the first center, everyone knows that it's the only center, but we are trying to organize that we get centers in Makindye so that people from Makindye can study from there, Nakawa people can study from there, Rubaga people can study from there, so that we leave the Kawempe people also to study from this center.
Chira Joseph Wagoina, S24 News Hour.
Now we're glad you're still watching S24 News Hour. My name is Yvonne Injuna. We will go for a short break, but remember we have these and more updates on our social media platforms. On Twitter, we are at S24TV. On Facebook, we are at SMART24TV. Welcome back from that break. Now, the judiciary has arrayed public fears on the decision to retire some of her senior judges, despite the enormous case backlog. There was widespread outcry following this decision that will see some senior judges retire, including Professor Yorokam Bamwine soon this year. The judiciary is sitting on a huge case back of over 100,000 of cases in the districts of Kampala, Wakiso and Machinde. We have a report.
The judiciary has been battling with a huge case backlog for a number of years, with the public always reacting to the negative despite the enormous efforts. The section sits on a backlog with some cases dating back to as far as 15 years, especially in matters involving land and family disputes. The department has always decried of the lack of judges to handle and conclude such cases in a timely manner, among other reasons. Now, the department has chosen to retire a selection of senior judges, a move that has sent fears out to the public. Among the officials en route for retirement include Principal Judge Yokram Bamwine and 8 others.
Judges of the High Court retired 65. And justices of the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court retire at 70. So every year, you know, sometimes there's always someone retiring. This year we have about 9 retiring. We expect this principal judge to retire in December. He was born on Christmas Day. Our resident judge of Masindi is going to retire in September. We have a deputy judge in charge of the International Crimes Division is retiring. Justice Margaret Omogole will retire in September. Justice Moses Machibi, the head of the International Crimes Division, will retire in May. We have some 2 registrars also retiring, and we have some 3-4 magistrates, grade 1, retiring in different months.
Spokesperson of the judiciary, Solomon Muita, says the action to retire the judges is mandatory and cannot be done away with.
When our judicial officers clock the retirement age, there is that mandatory retirement age. For the lower bench, these are magistrates and registrars, when they clock 60, they retire. Judges of the High Court retired 65. And justices of the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court retire at 70.
Moita says while the decision would affect the operation of the section, it's a legal and mandatory procedure to be undertaken. Moita says the department needs other facilities as well for the judges, including cars and support staff to enable them deliver.
A judge needs to be paid a salary, they need a bodyguard, they need a car, they need a driver, a secretary, attendant, they need whatever, operational allowances. They need properly set up chambers to do their work. So the government has to avail the funds to do that job.
Meanwhile, city advocate Luimbaz Nalukola of Nalukola and Kaketo Company Advocates says government needs to adequately finance the judiciary to fully execute their duties. He says government should facilitate the department to enable them recruit enough judges, facilitate them and put across all the desired services for the department to dispense justice.
Tourism is one of the major earners of forex, especially in the developed countries. But here in Africa, historical tourism takes the lead in the sector, although much of the information about historical tourism is really undocumented. We visited Ewan John Sempewa, a proprietor of Semagulu Royal Museum, and let's see the details to this story.
Knowledge, information, and wisdom are what defines a complete success story, but history defines the journey to success. A nation that is ignorant of its history then loses their destiny. Today, Sempewa wants to contend to the common saying that bygones are bygones. He is trying to resurrect the historical background of a nation, well through culture, art, and craft.
If you're proud of who you are, you cannot make money from cultural tourism when you're not proud of who you are. If you are this kind of people who would rather fake accents and that kind of plasticness, you don't bother investing here. Go and import fake shoes from China. But if you want to invest, this is a free university for all. I will teach you how to invest. It takes time.
It's his ambitious plan that drove him to start up a site he calls Semaguru Royal Museum, a place where he has put a catalogue of historical figures and symbols of events, as well as monuments, and defined the historical journey that Uganda has trekked.
In their language, it is a dukawala. A dukawala. But the word is too long. Our people say that, we're Mindi. Eno duka. So Katujita a duka, it's a shop. Culture and heritage is doing worst. It's worst. There is no national culture and heritage tourism policy. It's not there. There's no national plan on how to sell culture. Instead, different kingdoms have been left to find their way forward.
Among the known figures that stand out in Uganda's history was the first trader to own a shop in Kampala and Uganda, Aldina Vislam. Sempewa says it should be paramount for authorities, especially those driving tourism, to construct monuments that would represent the different activities and events across the country.
Hotels, for conferences, if you go to any hotel, you'll see there are conferences. That is where the biggest tourism money is. Meetings and conferences. So the restaurants and the hotels are busy, the farmers are supplying. After that is wildlife. Wildlife is earning less than meetings. People are going to the game parks, mainly. People are going to see the gorilla. But there's a limit on which you can earn from the gorilla. We can only sell.
Once Sempewa starts narrating the history attached to names of different villages, starting with Kampala, it's such an amazing piece to learn.
In and around Kampala, waliwo ensonga lwaki bakiyita lwaki kyebakiyita. Kati kankubulire, for example, Lubaga wali. Lubaga olwo lusozi lwali lusozi lwa kubaga, to plan war. Owulira. So waliwo abantu b'ensanga nga olw'obutamanya bakiyita Lubaga. Nga kati arevuddewa. This is Lubaga or Lusozi or Lubaga. Now, Lubaga eyo yandibadde ne monument of generals planning war. Gabantu bagikyalira gikyalira to pay money. Mutundwe wano wetuli is a slave market. Kabaka Mutesa I bwe yagambiranga abatalina mpisa temugende mutundwe. So LC tuye mutundwe singa yali emanyi tourism yandifunyeyo ka 5x5 neteekawo ekibumbe ekyo ekya slave man ng'abantu bakirambula ne bafuna bwino wa mutundwe kyekibadde ku mutundwe binayisa abadde kuno.
Sempewa says tourism should be encouraged and those with ability to root for it should not wait for government support. He notes that the activities like mountain climbing, birding, religion and cultural events should be financed and supported.
Less than 30,000 permits a year, I think. So there's money going there, but it is all going to UA money and the communities around. It would be difficult for an individual to invest in that because you need a license. Next to that is adventure. Adventure. People come into this country for bungee jumping, mountain climbing, boat cruises, that kind of thing. Outdoor fun. I think that is number 3. They're not coming for meetings. They're not coming for animals. A guy just checks in. He's coming for adventure. That is the 3rd biggest attraction.
With this clear insight from Sempewa about the relevance of cultural tourism in Uganda, it's now the responsibility of the authorities and private stakeholders to take up the idea so that the tourism sector is transformed.
A story, and I do not charge money. Kingdoms, cultures, communities, entrepreneurs, if you want to invest in cultural tourism, you come to me. I am the savior for cultural tourism. I will teach you. I have been able to turn a compound into a 300 million investment where people come and learn our culture. What does it take? A, passion. If you're not passionate about tourism, if you're ashamed to wear kanzu, if you're ashamed to drink by the gourd, if you're ashamed to speak your own language, then you don't bother coming to me. Or in a passion, you must have passion. That
Mlindwa Abdul Wahid, S24 News Hour.
Thank you, Mulindwa. Now, the National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA, is still stuck with over 1.5 national IDs as the owners can't be traced. Now, they have embarked on an exercise to clean up and update database, a process that will see majority of these national IDs be sent to the lower administrative centers.
The National Identification and Registration Authority has registered up to 27 million people across the country since its inception in 2014. It's estimated that Uganda has about 31 million people eligible for the national IDs. The authority has been issuing the documents for at least 16.5 million people, according to an updated record. It has, however, emerged that over 1.5 million people have not picked up their IDs since their registration, an issue that has bothered the authority. The Assistant Public Relations Officer Michael Muganga says the authority is devising means to reach out to the owners of the rejected IDs in an attempt to clean up and update the records.
Okay, we started registration. Of course, we inherited the work from the ID card project, which started back in 2014. So between then and now, we've registered more than 27 million Ugandans. And out of these, more than 16.5 million have already acquired their national identity cards. We still have about one or slightly more than 1.5 million cards uncorrected, which we still have at our district offices. And this is one reason we are also going back to sub-counties. One reason is to help our activities clean the system, get off the dead, put off the born, the newborn citizen, update the data of these ones, register those who are not registered, issue cards to those who are not received.
Muganga says the authority is set to resume registration effective January 2019, but will also continue with the process to clean up and update the available records. The registration is basically to allow youth and students who have never registered to do so before they turn 16 years old. Registration was last conducted last year in schools.
And some of these, maybe about 8 to 9 million, are still below the age of 16, because you only acquire national ID when you are 16 years old. So those are the statistics.
Muganga refuted reports that NIRA will be replacing IDs at zero costs for those who lost their IDs and recollection of errors. NIRA was established under the Parliamentary Act 2015 with intentions to register and store national data. Today, such data has become so critical for the state as several institutions like the Electoral Commission, Public Service, and several other government and private entities use the data in planning and marketing. It is responsible to always update the data for proper and adequate planning.
You want to replace a national identity card for one or the other reason. Maybe it's lost and you want to replace it. Maybe it's damaged and you want to replace it. Maybe it has an error and you want another one done, right? So there are different modalities for doing this. But all replacement of national identity cards, there is a fee payable in the bank of 50,000 shillings, right? This is, like I said, it's a non-taxable, and this is why it's paid in the bank, right? So those services are not free. Replacement of lost identity cards, damaged identity cards, change of particulars, change of header on your card, as long as you are replacing the national identity card. There is a fee of 50,000 shillings payable in the bank, of course, plus bank charges of 2,300 or 500, depending on which bank. And then for us, upon attachment of this receipt on a form. If it's for change of error, we give you a form for change of error, or we call it change of particulars. If it's a form for replacement of those card, we give you a form for replacement of the card. If it's for any other reason, maybe you are updating your data, maybe you are anything you want to change to do the change of the card. This is a payment of 50,000, which you do in a commercial bank, right? And these are, as I said, URA charges. These are non-tax rates, and it's not the mandate of NIRA to put fees on its activities. This is the mandate of Parliament and how taxes are levied, and this is the preserve of URA. So those who are spreading rumors that there are activities of NIRA, that NIRA is extending activities to sub-counties, and that the activities of replacement, of change of error, of all those that are paid for are going to be free. That's wrong. The only free activity is first registration, which is free, the first identity card, which is free, right? Now, it's true, NIRA is going back to some counties. I've told you we have an office at every district, right? But it's true, in the next 2 weeks, beginning 14th of January 2019, right? NIRA is having a project, and projects have lifespans, they begin and end, and this project will be for 3 months. So NIRA is going back to sub-counties, all sub-counties of the country, right?
Oliver Nyamwiza for SMART24.
Thank you so much, Oliver. Now, we are very glad you're still with us here on SMART24. We'll go for another break, but we still have many more stories for you, so please don't go away. Welcome back from that break. Now, Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Kadaga insists that the Katuntu Commission should stay and wind up the Bank of Uganda probe. The tenure of the Kosase Commission expires on January 20th, but Kadaga wants to use her powers given in the rules of procedure to extend the tenure of the Katuntu-led committee until February 2019. The Opposition Forum for Democratic Change, however, insists that altering the rules sets a bad precedent for operations of the House. The Kosase Committee has been probing the fraudulent sale and closure of banks in the country. The committee is chaired by Bugweri MP Abdu Katuntu and set to be replaced by Kawempe MP Mbarak Munyagwa. Let's hear what the Speaker is saying.
Winding up on the Bank of Uganda investigation, we expect them to write the report and hand it over to the House before they move. And my request is not to say we shall not have changes, but the changes will come after they have reported. So I only requested for a few, actually, now they're on recess, so they're not even working. When they come back, the other committees will expire on the 13th of January, but I asked them to complete that report, and I said, give us, in the unlikely event that they don't finish, end of February. After that, the changes will come. So it's not that we are going to insist that they stay there. There was a proposal that we would transform a standing committee to a select committee. Can you have a select committee of 30 people? I found that proposal really strange and, in my view, impracticable. You cannot have a standing committee of a select committee of 30 people. Select committees are like 5, 6, 7 people. So how of the consultative, how many do I choose to say, okay, you 9, you stay, you others go away? So in my view, it is neater if when they finish their report, they hand it over to the House, and then the changes will take place.
Now, there has been a decline in the manufacturing sector of Kenya by the end of 2018. However, there is hope that the sector will work even better because it is among the top agendas of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's see what we have.
Despite the sense of optimism experienced at the beginning of 2018, after President Uhuru Kenyatta announced that manufacturing would be part of his Big Four agenda, the sector has seen profits shrink, leaving it struggling to remain in business and leading to job cuts. As they are concluded, confidence in the sector's potential boost to economic growth, create jobs, and boost the standards of living of Kenyans in line with the agenda waned significantly. The other three sectors include housing, healthcare, and food security. Sachen Gudka, the chairman of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, said the sector has for the past year been baffled with economic and potential factors. The factors include interest rate coupling, a credit squeeze, increase in taxes, rising operational costs due to high fuel and energy prices, unfavorable government policies, an influx of import, and rising illicit trade. The going tough for the manufacturers. Those operating across East Africa were further hit by non-tariff barriers, which has been the cause of protracted trade disputes among the East African Community partner states. The manufacturing sector's contribution to the GDP of Kenya has for the years stagnated around 10% and stood at 9% in 2017, down from 9.2% in 2016. Putting the sector at the core of economic growth as part of the Big Four agenda, the government hopes to drive its GDP contribution to 15% by 2020.
That's all we had for this evening. My name is Yvonne Njuna, and please stay tuned. But remember to follow our social media platforms. We are at S24TV on Twitter and SMART24TV on Facebook. Myself, I am at Njuna Y on Twitter and Njuna Yvonne on Facebook. Till next time, goodbye.